Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are pleased to bring you this fifth installment in a series dedicated to careers in maritime. We're offering this content to assist young professionals as they look to learn about careers in the maritime industry, and also for any other professionals that might be interested in making a change of career path. Today's session will focus on ship operations and ship management. And at this time, I'd like to turn the session over and introduce Dr. Jeremy Smith, International VP of Student Ports, who's been working to bring us this great content and further develop and strengthen our student port chapters. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jeremy Smith.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. So yes, I am the Vice President of International Propeller Club for Student Ports. And every month, we want to have a guest speaker. So our guest speaker today is Bethany Wright. Bethany is a graduate of Kaiser University Transportation Logistics. She is currently working for Tote Maritime Services, and she actually coordinates a lot of the logistics going on and off the vessels for the support of the employees that are out there. So I'm going to turn it over to Bethany Wright.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am Bethany. I just want to thank you guys for being here. In a quick snapshot, I'm going to give you the down and dirty of how I got to be a marine specialist at Tote. I'm one of 4 children, military family, so I always knew I wanted to see something bigger, do something more. So after I graduated, I joined the Navy. I stayed in the Navy for 12 years, and then I got out. When I got out, I realized, there's a lot going on. What do I want to do? So I went ahead, did my research, decided to enroll into Kaiser University, and I got interested in the business program. There was one class at the business program that completely opened my eyes up and definitely made me excited to stay in logistics, and it was the warehouse class. We got to build our own little warehouse, and from there, I just developed like this love. Like, what could you do with a warehouse? What goes into the warehouse? How does things get to the warehouse? So now it's my senior year, and I have an internship. And Dr. Smith says, well, Bethany, Tote has an internship availability. Would you like to go? So I say yes. I'm excited. What I didn't realize is that Tote does so much more than just move areas and move containers, move people, move livestock. What I learned is that it's a piece of a much bigger puzzle. So I want to take you kind of on a small little ride with me. So all of the groceries that you receive, all of the clothes that you wear, all of the shoes that you love to have, but you don't want to walk in because it might crease the toe, they have to come from somewhere. So what Tote does, and what I learned to do in the background at Kaiser, was that they coordinate how to get the goods from point A to point B. And my specific job is to get the mariners on and off the vessels. On the surface, it's very simple. You get people to and from somewhere. But the puzzle part about it is, how do you get them from, let's say, America over to England, or maybe from England down to South America? Maybe they went to Anchorage. So there's so many different aspects of what Tote does within the maritime industry that there's a lot of upward progression. There's a lot of excitement. Every single day, you might know how you're going to do your job. You might have a little bit of anticipation, but you never know, like, for real, start to finish, what your day is going to look like, because it can go completely sideways, and it's always exciting. It's always fun. There are the frustrating pieces, the frustrating pieces of it, but after you figure out how to approach it differently, it makes everything so much more rewarding, because it's like, I can do this. I didn't have anywhere to start from, and now I'm starting. So at this point in my career, I'm about 3.5 years in, and I have done crew changes all across the world, from Australia over to Korea, from, let's see, Davisville, Rhode Island, all the way over to Anchorage. I have done a few in Europe, and I've not been able to do any in Africa or the Med yet, but I know that it's going to come. So I'm excited about that. What What I would love to impart on young professionals is ask questions. If something catches your eye, catches your interest, ask questions, get curious, ask for more guidance, ask for a mentor. Mentors can encourage you in ways that you didn't even realize were available to you until you get to that point and you're like, hey, that's interesting. Follow those interests. If something doesn't really feel like a good fit for you, then that's okay. That's absolutely okay. You can do something different. For instance, if you come in at my job, you have the crewing specialist like me who get mariners to and from the ships. Then we have the payroll department that makes sure that those mariners are getting paid. We have the purchasing department, which provides supplies for the ships. Then we have the invoices department that makes sure that everything that we've been ordering gets paid for. So those are just 4 of the departments right where I work that all support the maritime industry. So ask those questions, ask to shadow different places, ask for internship opportunities. I mean, even ask sometimes is as simple as saying, hey, Dr. Smith, do you know anybody who does this? You know, maybe they'd like to talk with me for maybe 5-10 minutes on the phone. Ask the questions. There's such a huge world out here and it's unlimited potential, unlimited potential. So thank you very much for having me, letting me share my story and my excitement. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
All right, everyone, if you can, I see someone's putting something in the chat. Okay, so if you have questions, please put it in the Q&A, and then I will ask Bethany directly if you have any questions. So please put it in the Q&A. Yeah, one thing that was really interesting is that with Propeller Club, you're only as good as the people around you that could help you out.
Absolutely.
So whenever someone is out there, they will be more than happy to work with you, and that's the advantage that any of you have with Propeller Club. With the Propeller Club, if you want to have an internship, an opportunity, maybe I don't know about that, maybe someone else doesn't know about that, but as a club, someone does, and we can make that happen. Well,
Exactly.
let's see. Okay, here's our first question. Is focusing on project management a plus in doing your job?
Ooh, I like this question. Ooh, okay. I want to say yes and no. You can always gain something by learning effective project management, but if you are not quite yet at your career where project management is a requirement, I would take the small build-up classes because you have to learn your core job first, right? Because how else would you know how to apply the project management tools? With that being said, that is definitely a course I am gunning for. I have my book, I'm taking my notes, because I have noticed that the project management course, upon successful completion, does open up more upward mobility than I ever would have thought. But definitely get your foot in the door first before you start the project management course, because it's a pretty intense course.
So this is an interesting question. It says the maritime industry is getting older. Are you seeing this on the shore side with toads? And they're saying they're asking it because lots of people are retiring. This opens up opportunities for young workers.
So I need to make one distinction. I do not work on the shore side of tote, so I don't have the longshoremen and the truck drivers. I work on the seagoing side of tote. I will say the fleets are getting older. There's been a lot of retirements, so it does open up quite a bit of opportunity for young men and women to join. I will say though, a semi-disturbing trend that I have seen is that brand new mariners to the industry seem to think that they're owed the considerations in the wages of mariners who've been in the industry for decades. So I think that we have to kind of reevaluate what we feel we deserve and realize that somebody who's done the job for 15 years is going to make more than somebody coming in. If you keep kind of like that as a prize, like that 15-year pay as a prize, knowing it's going to go up and really you take all the knowledge therein, I think this would be an excellent opportunity right now. But what we've noticed is a lot of the younger people, they don't want to work longer than 70 days at a time. A lot of our hitches are between 90 and 120 days, but those are the ones that will get you all the way around the world. You know, those are not the dedicated runs. I think that if more young people knew about this opportunity, I think that more young people would take the opportunity, and then you would see a refreshed fleet, because the younger people, I need their ideas. What can we do better? How can we improve? Is this more user-friendly here? I will say, just, you know, a tiny plug for Tote, we do have Starlink on all of our ships. So I've noticed that that makes it a lot easier to communicate as well. And that's something that I think would be really good. What was your experience of going to different countries?
Yeah, so the next question is, do mariners have layovers in the countries they're visiting? And if so, how do you arrange those layovers?
Okay, most of the time it'll be between 12 and 18 hours of a layover, because they have to go through customs and pass their immigration. What I do is, if they are incoming, I have them arrive at least 24 hours before. They'll do their customs, their immigration, and then the agent of that port will put them in a hotel. Now, if they're departing, and the ship is already left, the agent puts them in the hotel first, and then they go to immigration and customs at the airport. I try to limit the amount of time that they are not necessarily unescorted, but kind of in limbo between, you know, leaving American soil and getting on the ship, especially in the foreign countries, because we are still responsible for them as an American citizen until they step foot on the ship or step foot on the plane. So I don't try to do any type of free vacations. As much as I'm sure they would love that, I try not to.
So what do you do if there's like a blockage in the Suez Canal and a ship is stuck there? What kind of arrangements do you have to do for that?
Oh, now you're getting into the fun part of the puzzle. All right, so when we have something that stops ship movement like that, we have to pretty much go all the way back to the drawing board. Are you stuck? Like, can you maybe reverse and go another way? How much money would that cost? How much stores would that take? Do you have enough stores for this traffic jam? You know, there's so many different questions. So they'll do something called a risk analysis matrix, and they will literally list how much, let's say, food do we have? How many paper products? How much fuel? Because fuel kind of comes into play. Even if you're idling, you're still using it. The last time that we had an issue like that, unfortunately, was with the Baltimore Port Bridge incident. And what we ended up doing was diverting each and every one of our ships to a different port and pushing more traffic into Davisville, Brunswick, and Jacksonville. So when that happens, you have to do pretty much a complete diversion program if they can't find another way around. But that's, I mean, it's logistically, it's a blast, and it's really fun to do something that, like, you got to be on your feet for, and it's like, I got an idea. It's not the best one I've ever had, but watch them work. It's great. It's so much fun.
As long as the goods and services still make it to the customer, I guess that
Right,
still manage.
right. At minimal cost, um, outside the overhead. We try to
This
limit.
is an interesting one. They talked about AI and how that's affecting the industry. So is there current things that you're leveraging for the AI, and is that going to affect or harm workers being able to get jobs, especially young people?
Right now, we are not using AI for a lot of what we do because of the safety issues of it. So when you have, okay, I'm just gonna use the Isla Bea. So the Isla Bea is one of the tote ships that's on a dedicated run from Jacksonville to San Juan. So at any point you can have a crane going, you're going to have the trucks coming and flowing, you have the longshoremen, you have people coming on and off the vessel. If AI was to do that, you'd still have to have a person come in to check every hatch cover, to check every section cover, to check every single tie down. So right now, we're not pursuing that as a reasonable option. I've seen that more in warehouse management than I actually have seen on my part of the maritime industry. And I will visit the terminal once every 3 to 4 months, and I haven't seen any indication that they would rather have AI do something than people right now.
What I'm really impressed with on TOTE is that even though they don't have AI, they have a ton of technology involved with that, and it's really amazing. Like they could control the satellites in outer space. I thought that was really awesome.
It's
Um,
it's
here's one
incredible.
all the way from France. So we have a question all the way from France,
Awesome.
uh, asking about the language differences. So how do you work with people with different languages?
Google Translator. If for real, if I don't have a coworker who speaks the local language, um, and I call and I realize that we're both kind of speaking brokenly to each other, I will get Google Translator, and I'll put a little disclaimer like I'm using Google Translator. Please forgive any grammatical or cultural errors. I mean, no offense in any way. And then I will, proceed to say my message with Google Translator. Um, I feel like it works decently, in the meantime until we can find someone who can help us. But I have noticed that a lot of the foreign agents I work with, thank goodness, know English and are willing to work with me enough to say it's okay. Let's work like that. I am hoping to kind of expand my horizons on the language side of things. Um, but I don't like my kids making fun of me so much. So it's very slow going right now. Thank you for that question. That is an excellent question. Thank you.
So if you're using Google Translate, I guess you are using some AI then. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess personally I am, but
Yeah, it's always great that we're using these different tools to be able to communicate and do things. And it's a
absolutely.
good thing that you're also saying I'm using the Google Translate because some people can get offended if you say the wrong
Exactly.
thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
so that's awesome. That's awesome
And
that you do that.
right, because I want to be respectful at all times. Like I want to give the respect that I am expecting to get back. So I felt like the disclaimer, you know, at least they know that my intention was good. Like I promise I wasn't trying to say anything out the way.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, so yeah, you've been an amazing person, amazing student. Lots of people are
Thank
saying
you.
thank you for how amazing you are, even on here. So, so we definitely
Absolutely.
appreciate all
I
that.
love this. I loved my experience. I loved being able to go to New Orleans, which started the other Propeller Club students being able to go on trips. I loved being able to do the cleanups and everything. Like this is a really, really important thing